Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into a truly terrifying entity from South Asian folklore, the Chalava. We're going to break down how this creature hunts, and more importantly, how you might just survive an encounter, using two absolutely harrowing firsthand accounts. And this right here, this simple idea, is the key to everything. Our sources make it pretty clear that the real danger on a long journey isn't a dark road or strange noise. It's your own exhaustion. That's the vulnerability it's looking for. That's how it gets in. So what exactly is this thing that preys on the weary? Before we get into the wild survival stories, let's lay the groundwork and really define what we're up against. The name itself tells you its number one weapon. Chalava literally means deception or illusion. It's a master shapeshifter, a ghost that was born on the road from a traveler's tragic death, and now it's forever tied to those lonely, dark places. Okay, so this is basically the monster's playbook. It's not just some random ghost, it has a method. First, it traps you, making you feel like you're going in circles or that time is repeating. It feeds on your fear and exhaustion. Then it hits you with these incredibly realistic, personalized hallucinations. And if that's not enough, it can actually possess people. But here's the crucial part. Its power disappears at sunrise. So how do you even know you're caught? That's the scary part, right? The first signs are incredibly subtle, almost easy to dismiss, and they are specifically designed to make you start questioning your own mind. This is it. This is that critical moment where reality starts to feel, wrong. It doesn't start with a big scare. It starts with a creeping, nagging feeling that something is impossibly repeating itself. Let's see how this trap was actually sprung in the two stories we're looking at. So the Chalava's opening move is always disorientation. In one story, a bus full of students keeps driving past the exact same tea stall again and again. It gets crazier when an overturned truck appears right where one of them joked it would be. In the other story, a group of friends realize they're just driving in circles, and then they see a road sign that makes no sense. It says their destination is 1 hour away when it should be 8. The road itself becomes the prison. All right, so once you're trapped in that loop and totally disoriented, the Chalava really cranks things up. It moves from messing with your sense of direction to all-out psychological warfare. And this is so important to understand. The entity isn't just trying to give you a quick scare. It's trying to engineer your total collapse. It feeds on fear and paranoia, so it creates these insane scenarios designed to get you to turn on each other. Friends become enemies. And the illusions it creates are just wow. They're incredibly personal and varied. One group finds a whole village that doesn't actually exist. One character has a horrifying vision of his family being murdered. A mysterious girl suddenly appears on a totally empty road. A roadside restaurant serves food filled with worms. An angry mob materializes out of thin air. You see, it mixes common fears with deeply personal ones. But just when you think you've got a handle on its tactics, one of our sources mentions something else, a variant that is way, way deadlier. The Amavas Chalava, which means the new moon Chalava. It only comes out on the darkest nights, and its hunting method is next-level terrifying. This is its ultimate deception. It targets a big group, zeroes in on the most exhausted person, and then reveals its true form, literally scaring them to death. But it doesn't stop there. It then possesses that person's body and walks right back into the group to mislead them and tear them apart from the inside. Suddenly, the monster isn't outside the bus anymore. It's sitting in the seat right next to you, wearing your friend's face. So this is the really awful part, right? The monster is hiding in plain sight. How in the world do you figure out who it is before it's too late? Especially when it's using paranoia as its main weapon against you all. And in both stories, this is where the psychological horror just peaks. The paranoia is off the charts. In the bus story, everyone starts suspecting this one kid, Sham, because he seems to know a little too much. In the car story, Adi starts acting super strange, while this mysterious girl is obviously a suspect from the get-go. Everyone is pointing fingers, which is exactly what the Chalava wants. The first breakthrough, the first crack in the illusion, comes from something so small. The possessed Sham, trying to bluff his way through a lie, claims his uncle owns a travel agency, but his friend knows better. The real Sham's uncle runs a street food stall. It was that tiny, insignificant detail that the monster got wrong. And the second breakthrough? It was purely emotional. The creature just couldn't fake a proper human reaction. When everything was falling apart and friends were literally attacking each other, the possessed 80 was just sitting there, smiling, enjoying the chaos. A real friend would be horrified. The monster just couldn't hide its own sick delight. Okay, so you've done the impossible. You've pointed the finger, and you're right. You've unmasked the monster. But don't start celebrating yet, because the fight is far from over. Now that it's been exposed, it's cornered, and it's desperate. And what's so fascinating is that there are two totally different paths to victory, depending on which version you're facing. The Amavas Chalava, because it's physically possessing a body, has to be physically stopped. You have to fight it. But a standard Chalava, the illusionist, your goal is just to endure. You just have to survive. Time is your ally, because as soon as the sun rises, it's gone. So it's either fight or flight. Until dawn. When you really boil it all down, these stories suggest that survival has nothing to do with being the strongest or the bravest. It comes down to something much more difficult, keeping a clear head when your own senses are lying to you. It's about spotting that tiny lie in the details, noticing the inhuman reaction, and just holding on to your sanity until the sun comes up. So what do you think? If you were in their shoes, what would save you?